Welcome back. Now, if you are on Twitter, you will have seen the name Kevin-Prince Boateng trending this afternoon. The reason for that was an act that he performed during a friendly game for AC Milan this afternoon. He was confronted with some racist chanting from opposing fans, and so he decided to take off his shirt and walk off the pitch. Afterwards, a pile of players all queued up to give him their congratulations and to back him. We've got some of the tweets here on the show for you. Kevin-Prince Boateng, this is what he's had to say himself. Shame these things still happen. Stop racism forever. But Vincent Kompany has been onto Twitter as well. Here's what he's had to say. I can only salute Milan's decision to leave the pitch. Also noted that the majority of the fans were completely supportive of the players. He also said act of racism against Boateng during Milan's friendly. How about becoming extremely intolerant towards racist idiots? They need to be told. Jason Roberts has been on very strong indeed. 2013, no grey area until some real sanctions, real action is delivered. Players should walk off the pitch. Enough is enough. Until the authorities take appropriate action and start taking the issue seriously, this battle will have to be fought by the players. Congratulations to AC Milan players and Kevin-Prince Boateng for walking off the pitch due to racist abuse. Patrick Vieira's been on as well. AC Milan are an example to all. It's a strong and bold statement to make by the club and the players. Now is the time for the football authorities to stand up and do something. We need to see real actions that will have a genuine influence. It was brave of Kevin-Prince Boateng to do what he did today, and it was the right thing. We need to stand up and stand together. Well done. Loads and loads of other players have all been onto social media to chime in with the general tone of what you've just read and heard there. Perry?
This absolutely the right thing to do. I've been calling for players to do this for probably about two or three years, but not individually. And the great thing about this is everybody went. The stadium announcer was over the tannoy asking the idiot minority in the corner to, I think it's Patea is the 4th division Italian club, asking that the racist idiots in the corner to stop the racist chanting, and they didn't. After 25 minutes, Kevin-Prince Boateng decided, I've had enough. The AC Milan players backed him, the Patea players backed him, the officials backed him, they all went off, and even the fans in the stadium, the other fans, started booing the racists in the corner. So if this happens, this could be self-policing, self-regulating, because, and it's a brilliant and it is a brave thing to do, but to do it in a friendly, obviously, is the start. But it's going to be interesting if that happens in a Serie A match.
That's the thing that a lot of people putting on to Twitter this afternoon. I was a bit disappointed by that because I kind of took it as a note of cynicism, maybe that he was.
Oh no! I hope this is the beginning. No! I hope this is the beginning.
Absolutely.
I hope, I'm not being cynical. I'm saying, okay, a pre-season friendly doesn't have the same stature as a league game. But if this is going to be the start of players saying, I'm not accepting this, and their teammates actually, solidarity is the thing here. When we had the kick out, show racing red card and kick it out, and there was a few, like Jason Roberts said, I'm not wearing the t-shirt. At the time, I said, look, everybody needs to be in this together. Everybody needs to, even if you don't like the way it's something happening, the reason that we have progressed over the last 20, and we have progressed, is because everybody stuck together, and it's becoming more of a minority than being accepted. Now everybody has to stick together, and so I'm not accepting it. Now the Italian FA have to get strong. If they don't get strong, UEFA, which they won't, because UEFA haven't got.
They won't.
But if the Italian FA are going to be serious about it, because there are problems in Italian football with some racist chanting, as there's been some problems in. We're not completely immune from it, but it's less now. So it is a round of applause to everybody involved and saying. And what will happen is, if fans, the real fans, and it's the majority of fans who aren't racist, then start to think, well, we ain't going to see football. They won't accept it from their own fans. But the Italian FA have to get strong. And the thing as well, this will be a massive marker to Michel Platini, because he said, someone asked him in Euro 2012, if a player walks off the pitch because of racist abuse, we thought it might happen, didn't we, in Ukraine and Poland, and it didn't, thankfully, not on a grand scale. What happened, said the referee should book him. And you think, are you missing the point completely? And you're talking the leader of UEFA, who wants to be the leader of FIFA. So I'm glad this happened because everybody stuck together.
Absolutely.
And so that made it an even bigger point, which I think is
absolutely
fantastic.
right. And I'm also glad about the headlines that this has managed to generate, because it doesn't really matter if it's a Serie A match or a friendly. The fact is that everybody has taken notice of what Kevin-Prince Boateng has done, and it could well be a Rosa Parks moment for football. We shall see. But I'm pleased to say that the man who broke the story joins us on Thursday Night Live right now. Good evening to Tancredi Palmieri.
Good evening, guys. Happy New Year, even if it's not a celebrating event.
Indeed, Happy New Year to you. Tancredi, when we saw what you had tweeted about the details of this story, first of all, tell us your reaction to what you saw at the time.
You mean my reaction?
Yes.
Well, I couldn't believe it, honestly. I was watching. The game was broadcasted by Milan channel, and that was actually probably helped to give, I would say, to give publicity to what happened. Because if it would be just a news that is reported after by the wires, wouldn't be the same. What is, I mean, taking the attention more than, of course, the episode, is that usually, you know, when things like this happened, it was like a football player, or anyway, a team that was realizing that while the game was stopped. Instead, this time, it was going so much and was so unbearable that while Boateng was playing, you could see from the footage, is dribbling, then he just stopped. He picked the ball and is kicking towards the fans, these racists, because he was probably completely, he couldn't bear anymore. He as the others, they started apparently since the very first minute, and they did it towards all the black players of Milan, said that Emanuelson, Niang, Boateng, Rubinho, and when Emanuelson scored just after these racists, they booed even more. So maybe it should be absolutely exasperated, frustrated Boateng. So when I was watching that, I said, seriously, this is happening? And I could understand right after when Boateng, after half a minute maybe, straightly walked through the pitch.
Well, the interesting thing, Tancredi, is that not only have the players supported him, but the AC Milan management have supported him as well. One of the directors tweeted his support soon after the incident, and the manager's been very vocal in his support as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The support from all the club and other players and teammates has been absolutely total. I must say, even this club from 4th division, Lopate, we are talking about a town that is 50 kilometers far from Milan, so it's like saying Milan, and they all were like mortified for what happened. They said, oh, please don't label us with this, we are not like this. And it's even to stress that it's true, the biggest part of the fans that were there were protesting against this smaller part and that clapped to Milan players when they left the pitch.
And then after that, Tancredi, Massimiliano, should get that right, Allegri, basically said afterwards, we're disappointed and saddened by what's happened. Our viewers can see this on the screen, Tancredi. We're disappointed and saddened by what's happened. Milan play for the right to respect all players. We need to stop these uncivilized gestures. Tancredi.
Yeah, absolutely. There have been also the statement, apologize, the statement from the Italian FA president saying that they already asked to the sports prosecutor to investigate on this episode and that this what happened is just unacceptable and it's unbelievable that these things are still happening. My worrying, if I can go over the normal indignation that we all have about this, my worrying is that after a few days, after the news, the headlines, after all the good words of saying, oh, these things shouldn't happen again, this thing will happen again,
yes,
and nothing will be done about that. For the way I see, and then I will bring you also another opinion from someone that is more that is from a different point of view than mine, than ours, and that has some reason to speak maybe. From my opinion, until there won't be the authorities, the normal authorities, tackling these things, it's hard to see some consequence. Until won't pass anymore the message that if I go to a stadium and on a stadium stand I do things that normally would be punished, but in the stadium can be allowed a bit more than anywhere else, until that won't be anymore in the minds of these ultras, whatever you want to call them, until there will be that, it will be impossible to hope that these things won't happen anymore. And I want to bring you, this is not my opinion, but I think it's anyway helping the debate. Clarence Seedorf, just a few minutes ago, speaking to BBC, he said that in his opinion, and it's the only voice that I heard so far, he said that in his opinion, Boateng and Milan did a mistake leaving off walking off the pitch.
Really?
Yeah, because he said in this way, it's like giving satisfaction to his doing this.
Now, I'm going to stop you for a second, Tancredi, because that opinion drives me right up the wall. I want to know what you think at home at Sports Night TV. Do you side with Prince Boateng, or do you agree with Clarence Seedorf that he was wrong to leave the field of play? I think it's a cowardly point of view that a man who's a millionaire, who's not playing in the game anymore and doesn't go through the kind of thing that players experienced on the field of play can come out with. Anyone who's experiencing that kind of thing would not come out with that kind of response.
No, they shouldn't. What Clarence Seedorf is saying is they win. He's saying that they're booing you and they're giving you abuse.
Yeah, but Perry, if you do what you always do,
no,
you get what you always get.
No, but I think he's totally wrong. Right, what I'm saying is I don't understand his point of view, but I can understand what he's saying. He's saying in other games, say there's a massive game if it's Inter against Juve, and Juve are beating Inter 3-0. And I'm just starting using the example, and the Inter fans, a group of Inter fans start chanting race because they think, oh, the black players are going to walk off. That's what he's sort of saying, and he's saying he thinks it's a sign of weakness. I don't. I think it's a sign of strength, because I think you're saying,
absolutely,
I've had enough. But the strength, it was never going to work if one player did it on their own or only the black players walked off. That was never going to work. But because everybody's gone, actually his fellow black players have gone, no, we're not. You're right. And the white players and all different mixes and races have gone, no, we're not having it either.
No.
And the other supporters of the team of Pro Pate have gone, no, we're not having it either. So he is 100% right, and I think you can only be strong with solidarity as a collective, and it's exactly what happened. So, but the person who's going to come out as being weaker will be Clarence Seedorf, because everybody's going to say, actually, no, you're so far wrong. You're so far away from what normal opinion is. It's frightening.
Spot on. And I'm going to go back to Tancredi to kind of wrap up, because, I mean, I would imagine that there may well have been sympathy for Clarence Seedorf's point of view, but we're past that now, aren't we?
Well, yeah, I see the point of Seedorf, I see the point of Perry. I understand why Seedorf is saying that. Me too, as Perry. Probably I don't agree anymore this time. I think that Seedorf is someone that sure, I've seen it in Italy for many years. Fought for so many years against that. I've seen so many times when he was booed in the stadiums. I understand this point. Maybe there is a moment in which if you don't let the things go anymore, so maybe just in that moment you can hope that something can change, because otherwise you can maybe get too in habit with what is going on.
It becomes the norm.
Of course, there are people also saying that it was easy to do it now because it was a friendly game, there was no consequence for leaving the pitch, like losing the points, who has to take the decision, the referee, whatever. Okay, everything is right about that. Still, it wasn't something like a cold decision from Boateng, because who is criticizing in that way make it think like would be a kind of calculation from Boateng, something like, oh, they are booing him, or now I will leave the pitch, so I will show them who is more man. It's not like that. it maybe get until a point of standing when it's no more standable. And
Well,
if you get to that point, you can do. You are you can
Tancredi,
like,
we're going to obviously have to leave it there, but I do want to just say this one thing before we wrap up. It may well be that people will look at a situation like that and decide we're losing a game, we're going to chant racist abuse at players so that we can get it abandoned. That's the problem for the authorities.
Yeah,
the players should still walk off the pitch.
And you know what, as well, I thought it was brilliant, and we didn't realise that it was shown on AC Milans TV. That gives it even more power. Because people can't then change the story. It's in front of you, and you can hear the chanting, you can hear what's going on. So I think it's even more powerful, Tancredi, that it's on telly.
Tancredi, I appreciate you coming on tonight. We do have to leave it there, but we do...
At the beginning, Darren, it's all about the authorities. We can't ask to football players to take, to be responsible of everything. And the authorities are there to make the things go on in the right way. The football authorities, but also the normal authorities, police and politics. Definitely. If they let the things go, of course, the people will think, okay, so it's legal to do it.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much indeed, Tancredi. Spot on as ever. The man who broke that story that everyone's been talking about today and will continue to talk about over the next couple of days. Perry.
I was going to say, Tancredi is right. The criminal authorities have got to come into this as well, because over in this country, I think about 6 months ago, there was a lady on a bus was racially abusing another person, and quite rightly, she got put in prison. Now, just because you're doing it in a football ground doesn't mean say you're removed from the law of the land. So it should be consistent.
Football finds excuses not to take responsibility in many, many areas, but hopefully the pressure will continue to be put onto this situation and others within the game to make sure that they are resolved in the appropriate way. AC Milan players and Kevin-Prince Boateng for walking off the pitch due to racist abuse. Patrick Vieira's been on as well. AC Milan are an example to all. It's a strong and bold statement to make by the club and the players. Now is the time for the football authorities to stand up and do something. We need to see real actions that will have a genuine influence. It was brave of Kevin-Prince Boateng to do what he did today, and it was the right thing. We need to... Welcome back. Now, if you are on Twitter, you will have seen the name Kevin-Prince Boateng trending this afternoon. The reason for that was an act that he performed during a friendly game for AC Milan this afternoon. He was confronted with some racist chanting from opposing fans, and so he decided to take off his shirt and walk off the pitch. Afterwards, a pile of players all queued up to give him their congrats. How about becoming extremely intolerant towards racist idiots? They need to be told. Jason Roberts has been on very strong indeed. 2013, no grey area until some real sanctions, real action is delivered. Players should walk off the pitch. Enough is enough. Until the authorities take appropriate action and start taking the issue seriously, this battle will have to be fought by the players. Congratulations to a stand up and stand together. Well done. Loads and loads of other players have all been onto social media to chime in with the general tone of what you've just read and heard there. Perry.
This absolutely the right thing to do. I've been calling for players to do this for probably about 2 or 3 years. But not individually. And the great thing about this is everybody went. The stadium announcer was over the tannoy asking the idiot minority.
Congratulations, and to back him. We've got some of the tweets here on the show for you. Kevin-Prince Boateng, this is what he's had to say himself. Shame these things still happen. Stop racism forever. But Vincent Kompany has been onto Twitter as well. Here's what he's had to say. I can only salute Milan's decision to leave the pitch. Also noted that the majority of the fans were completely supportive of the players. He also said act of racism against Boateng during Milan's friendly